Alrighty, folks, I have a special guest. I have actually one of my Twitter followers here. She reached out to me. She had some questions. We have Camilla, Anthony, and Vince. You guys want to ask me some questions? Thanks for reaching out, Camilla. Let's get it started.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. This is so exciting.
Awesome. Who wants to start?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like I mentioned to you, we recently got our first multifamily investment. We got a 6-unit building on the west coast of Florida. And I just what has been your experience with the owning properties and like management? Yeah.
So quick question. Has this your very first rental property, or have you owned houses or duplexes before? So do you have any experience before this sixplex?
No, this is our first rental property. A lot of experience fixing and flipping and all that kind of quick turn stuff.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you your answer, but also add stuff for the audience. So most people start with single family home duplexes for resi. It's how they jump in. Those are, I don't know, rather stable, right? Less turnover, but they're more expensive when turnover happens. They're just bigger. They generally have, it's a lot less turnover. So my experience buying, my first commercial was a 5-unit building. At that point, I'd been in the game for kind of 2 or 3 years, maybe 3 years. And I sold a house in 1031 into Vassar. That was the name. That was a street name that I bought on. And a couple of things surprised me. First off, I was responsible for a lot of things that I wasn't responsible for when I owned a home, like utilities, water, lawn, maintenance to the the outside parking areas, right? When you have that many people close together, the owner is responsible for a lot more. I didn't really budget for that. It was a surprise. Second, my 6-plex was like, or my 5-plex on Vassar were 5 units stuck together, right? One big rectangle, 5 units. Thin walls. It's amazing how much drama. You almost become a counselor. His dog barks, his baby cries, their telenovelas are too loud. They drink on the weekend. It's just, you're a counselor. So you have to have rules. Turnover is generally higher. My average turnover in a multifamily like that is probably 2.5 years, where a house is 8 years. So have more reserves than you might for a house. What I had to do with Vassar, because when I bought it, rents were below market. These numbers will be close. I think when I bought it, rents for these type of units were like $450, but they were paying $300. So they were way under. This is 20 years ago, right? So, but they were 50% of market. I thought, hey, I can go raise rents. If they don't want to stay, I'll put a new tenant in. No big deal. But when you have that big a gap, something I've learned, you actually need to cycle the tenants twice. Because like when you get a 6-unit, my example 5, 3 people say they'll take it, 2 people leave. You go fix those 2 units, but you can't take that person to market because you still have these other 3 left over. So it's kind of a process, right? It probably took me a year longer to get to market rents than I thought it would, because the gap was too big. You don't just jump. Like a house, you kick them out, you fix it up, you're done. One jump. I found, at least when there was a big gap, it took more time. Yeah. And then the other thing is, stuff seems to break more in apartments for whatever reason. I think people in houses take better care. They treat it like theirs, where an apartment, they don't necessarily. And I would never put a garbage disposal in an apartment. I did that one time, and that was a freaking mistake. So those are some things off the top of my head.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
do you go by Michael or Mike?
I go by Zuber usually. There's too many Michaels in the world. Yeah.
Zuber. Perfect.
There you go.
A lot of people call us by our last name, Coletti.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So it's the same thing.
Same kind of deal. Yep. So question about, you mentioned longer term tenants, and usually these are about 2.5 years, maybe 3. What type of what type of language do you put in your lease that could increase, maybe bump it each year, like a 5%, 10%? Do you do any sort of like rent increases in your leases?
No,
No.
no. We do put it in there that we evaluate it a year. California has adopted rent control. So again, just giving everybody the kind of deep answer. Historically speaking, if you're one of my tenants and you paid on time for a year, I wouldn't bump your rent. But then the king of California came in and instituted rent control, even though we said no. So now I have to raise rents because the king said I did. So
sure, yeah, we're in Florida,
so yeah, you don't have a king, you have a governor, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so what do you think about with that bump of the rents? So we were thinking
what are rents today? What are rents today?
So
1,200.
yeah, right now they're only at 1,200 in these units that we have, and the market rent. You mentioned your rents are really, when you bought yours, it was a lot lower. Ours is really a lot lower. They're average about 1,700. So
12 to 1,600.
Yeah.
So again, what I would probably budget is you're going to have to turn all the units. At least I would plan for that, right? Plan for the worst case.
For sure.
But probably what I would do in this case is, because you don't know these folks, right? You took it over. You're part of the credit.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Just real quick to give you another piece of information, we have a third-party management company that's helping us now as well. Yeah. So
yeah. So the first thing I would do is I would treat everybody the same, right? You don't want to pick winners and losers per se. What I might do in this example, I would actually probably do this. So 1,200, and you said market 16, right?
Yeah, or 17, right in there.
17. I would probably go in. This is probably what I would do. I would probably go in the first 30 days and spend some money on the outside, just so the tenants know a new owner's in town. You're taking care of some things. I would probably ask the tenants, is anything broken, just to see, right?
Yeah.
So I would probably do 30 days. I would do that in the first.
We're getting the roof done. We're doing some impact windows too.
Nice. So they're seeing it, right? This is all stuff the old owner was too cheap, blah, 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 right?
Have the money.
Yeah. He was a slumlord. You guys are there to change it around. So I would probably ask the tenants to, hey, is there anything going on, right? Is your faucet dripping? What's going on? All of that. And then what I would probably do after the first 30 days, after they have seen what you're doing, is I would probably go in and give everybody a $200 rent bump. That's probably what I would do. Because what happens? First off, 200 is not crazy. I have a friend, and you probably heard him on my channel, his name Dion from Dion Talk. He has a thing called the binder strategy. They probably know, but I would educate them and say, hey, the market is 17. We're the new owners. We're spending tens of thousands of dollars to make this better. We're only going to take you to 14. We got to recoup some of this money and then see who leaves. If you're lucky, no one leaves, and you've probably saved 20 grand in repairs. If you go right to 1,600 or 1,700, probably most of them leave. And then you have an extra. I would go from 12 to 14, wait a year. Now, if somebody left, I would take that unit right to market at 17. No question. But I would do this in steps, hoping that most of them go, hey, we got new owners. They're really caring for the property. 1,400 is still below 16 or 17. I'm going to stay. And thus, it gives you time to kind of change it more slowly. That's probably the process I would run today.
Okay.
Right. What if you realize some of the different tenants, maybe there's a lot of people living in that one unit and they're not so clean, and would you still rent bump them or just give them a 30-day?
Well, if they're breaking the rules, they get asked to leave.
Yeah.
Right. So if they got 10 people in a place and they said there's 3, that's a lease violation. That's not okay. But my general you can't judge cleanliness. That's not on you, the landlord.
Yeah.
I've seen some wild ass stuff. But yeah, if they're if they're breaking the lease, they're breaking the lease.
Sure. Yeah, there really wasn't any lease. It was month. They're all month
they're
to
month to
month.
month.
Yeah, there wasn't any leases in place really.
Well, good news. The new sheriff's in town. They get to sign new leases, and if they don't want to sign them and they don't like the rules, there's the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we're trying to get them in a month to month right now.
Yeah, because
That's probably what I would do. Yeah.
month to month. Yeah, we drove by the other probably a couple weeks back at night, and there was with 6 units. I think we counted 17 vehicles. So it's
You never know. There could have been a birthday. I mean, you just don't know. Don't assume anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why you get a lease. Leases are rules of the road. They are agreed upon between you and the tenants. And if they don't sign the lease, there's the door.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. Do you manage your own properties, or do you have property management? Yeah.
This is day one property manager. I don't want a phone call. I don't want any of those headaches. I get to act tough, Camelia.
Camila,
Right.
no, you said it the first time.
I did it first time. Doubt it. But I'm a big softie. So I would hear all the sad stories and give people a break. So property manager is supposed to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't want them to know who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
So,
usually take into account monthly for like operating expenses?
10 to 15%, depending on how much I invested, make ready. Like if I come in and replace everything, then 10%. If I come in and do what you guys, or I'm suggesting for you, it might be 15% because you're hoping to get a delay as units turn.
Okay. And that includes taxes, everything.
No, taxes, insurances outside of that. That was just maintenance,
Okay.
reserves, all of that.
Like the grass and cutting.
Yeah.
Keep
Okay.
landscaping. Okay. All right.
What'd you pick it up for, if we might ask? I always like to hear about the first deal.
Yeah, it was a little over 76 a door, so like 460-ish, right in
Okay.
there, give or take. Yeah.
All right. Very cool. And 6 units. So, all right. So you're collecting like 6,500, something like that? 7,200? Where I forget.
Once
70
once it's up, what? Say
Well, if they're all at 1,700, I think it's 10,200.
I was only concerned with what you bought it at, right? Existing rents.
Oh yeah. Well, there's only 5 out of 6. One of the units is
Vacant. There you go.
yeah, it's vacant. So
It's
we're
down to the studs.
yeah, it was down to this. It was an interesting five units was owned by one owner, and then one unit was owned by another owner. We got the 5 under contract first, and then the other owner was out of state, and I
Yeah.
couldn't reach her, so I called one of her neighbors.
Oh.
And the neighbor, I guess, was worried. It was an older lady and couple. And the neighbor, I guess, called the owner, and then the owner called me. And then, long story short, we got the 6-1 under contract. And
Got to put the deal together. Good for you. It takes work
Yeah,
sometimes. That's
yeah, it was
awesome.
a really good deal.
we had
yeah.
to send a buddy to the 6th owner's door to get it signed because she didn't have any technology or anything. Yeah,
Oh my
we're in
gosh, she
Florida,
doesn't have a
she's in
phone.
Pennsylvania.
He
It
had
was
a friend
cool.
that lived 20 minutes from her.
It happened to be like
Yeah.
that. Like all
Nice
the places
work.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we made it happen.
Good for you. I like stories like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a cool first, first property for sure.
Mhm.
So how far away is it from where you live? Like 20 minutes or something?
No, it's pretty
No.
far.
That's the
It's
thing,
it's
yeah.
like 3 hours. Yeah, it's across the state.
Yeah,
pretty
we're
much.
on the
Yeah.
of Florida. So-
And it's on the west coast of Florida. So hurricane damage, the last hurricane hit it pretty good, and just had a lot of damage. So
Yeah. So yeah, my market's 2.5 hours away. So I know all about driving to my market. So
okay.
2.5,
Yeah.
that fits there.
Yeah, we make rounds. We ended up finding another property nearby that we're planning on fixing. It's a single family house, but it's only 7-8 minutes away, and closing on that at the end of April. So
Nice.
depending on where we're at, we may keep it or may just, turn it and put it into another multi. So
We're really
I-
trying to focus on the multis right now.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it seems like you have one of the things I did early, about kind of year 3 or 4 is I had some singles and I 1031 into multi. So one thing you could do is go find these little singles, shine them up, sell them, and then 1031 in, you don't pay the tax man for the
Yeah.
1031 exchange.
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's a goal for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to talk to your accountant because they need to be like kinds. So you got to be careful. If it's truly a flip, I'm not sure that'll qualify, but I'm not a CPA, so check with them.
Like you may have to have a tenant in for a certain amount of time in order to qualify.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like kind. Their IRS is kind of a stickler, as you might imagine.
Sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I've personally been doing it for about 7, 8 years now. So
Nice. Okay.
yeah, a lot of fixing and flipping though, like some wholesale stuff and
Nice. You got it. Wealth is in holding. So
yeah,
Exactly,
exactly. It finally hit us, with this market the way it is now too, and we're seeing these good numbers, and if we resell it quick to somebody else, it's like they're being more lenient, so it's like, hey, we're getting them at this, and like you mentioned on your show a lot, we're really trying to stay in that affordable housing price range.
Good for you.
So
Smart.
they're hard to find right now. We're looking at a lot of deals and just a lot of no's. So
that's okay. Every no is a step closer to a yes.
exactly. Yeah, we're patient, so
You gotta be
Awesome.
right there, for sure.
yeah.
I like it. All right. What else? What else you guys got?
So yeah, what would you do if you were in that same position like us? You have a property, a single family there. Would you keep it for a little longer, rent it out, or?
I would definitely make sure I could 1031.
Hmm.
So I would talk to a local CPA or whoever does your taxes. What are the rules? Because
Yeah.
I believe, and I can be wrong, if you bought it empty, fixed it up, and sold it empty, that would not qualify as a 1031 exchange because it's not like for like. You have to trade a rental for a rental. Again, if somebody's out there and you're a 1031 attorney, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. But that's what I would do. I would buy it, fix it up, stick a tenant in, and then probably I would sell it with tenant occupied. You might not get top dollar, but what you're playing for is to take that equity spread you made from your value add and roll it into a multifamily. That's probably what I would try to do.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this market, in this area, where they'll buy them from New York, and that's what they would do anyway. They'd stick a tenant and then have them rented until they can retire and move down to South Florida.
Yeah, sell it as a turnkey. There's plenty of people that would love turnkey, fully remodeled stuff. My goal in your situation, given your experience, would be to 1031 out of houses into multis and get that value add spread, and do not pay the government. Right? No IRS taxes.
Yeah.
And you're thinking for loans on something like that, community banks or credit union kind of stuff for
On which part of that? The first or the
what the goal is on the first part is to do hard money, get some hard money on it, and then refi, pay the hard money back, and find
it'd probably be a community bank. You can also go to non-cum if you get stuck, but yeah, a community bank. I have to imagine in East Coast of Florida, there's some local community banks that want to see investment in their area post hurricane. So that's who I'd call on.
Yeah. That's kind of like we've been trying to, call some different mortgage brokers, and it seems like the community banks and that's you don't have as many of the different fees and points and percent.
They are encouraged to see their town or their area revitalized, certainly after that. So I would actually not call them. I'd go see them. Right. The next time you're going down there, I would walk in.
Sure.
Okay.
And question, Zuber, Mr. Zuber, or
just Zuber. Mr. Zuber's my dad.
Yeah. All right. Zuber. So have you ever worked with any of these banks on non-performing loans? I know, I got to imagine they're some of those are going to be starting to come up here with this market. And, how can we tap into that? And do you have any advice?
Relationships. It's all relationships. Again, I would go to this community bank with two goals in mind. First goal, obviously, is to introduce yourself, but you also want to be part of their Rolodex. You're going to come in as a stranger. You're probably going to have to see them a couple of times and follow up and, all of that. But yeah, you want to get that phone call when they're looking at a property that the current owner is non-performing and they want it off their books. I've bought over the years, I think 3 different buildings directly from banks.
Yeah.
One of the craziest phone calls I ever got was directly from a bank president saying, "Hey, I see what you're doing next door. You want the other one? I'm like, somebody
Sure.
trying to punk me? What's going on?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Right?
is it that easy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that easy? So yeah, again, you become a known and then become part of their solution, because there's a lot of pain coming, a lot of pain.
Yeah,
But it's not fast. You have time to invest in relationships. A lot of people think this commercial pain's coming tomorrow.
Mhm.
Some will come right before. I've talked about a couple this morning, but most of the pain's Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3. So spend time. I would take before and afters of your current project and show the community bank that you
Sure.
guys are serious, right? Anything you could do to become an answer for them, do that.
Okay. Yeah, we're building content. Our website and our company name, it's called Grow In INN Homes.
Nice.
And we got into growing food not too long ago and a couple of years back, and we kind of want to add some sort of edible type landscaping into some of these projects.
Yeah.
We're
Nice.
trying to figure out how to navigate it, with the management, the upkeep, and all that. But
Yeah.
that's our vision in the long term goal.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
have
that.
some bags of bananas coming for the residents and
Yeah.
Avocado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, a little unique niche. People will know your oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
We got a whole garden.
Show you.
We got a rack of bananas right there hanging.
That's
Actually,
awesome.
Yeah, check it out.
Wow, look at that. Who has the green thumb?
we all do. Everybody
Wow.
has a green thumb. We just got to learn the proper ways.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, don't tell my wife that. She's killed every plant I've ever bought her. Oh, don't. If anybody knows Olivia, don't tell her I said that.
Hopefully she doesn't watch this.
No, she doesn't watch me. No way. But somebody might tell her I said that. That's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
funny.
So yeah, that's what we want to integrate. We want to integrate the real estate side investment with
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your tenants will benefit, or that'll be a thing they look forward to. Some people love. I've actually had tenants ask if they could plant, lemon trees. I don't think I've ever had a banana. Maybe that's a Florida thing, but yeah, tenants. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I like that idea. That's good.
Yeah. Like you said, sets us apart. It's a different niche, and eventually, the longer play is right now, like you mentioned, the real wealth building is buying and holding. So we're going to get into that game more. And eventually we want to build, maybe start with a smaller type of community where we have the mindset of having a specific section, like, hey, this section is just going to be for the plants. And, it's more, it's a better system and process versus just kind of going in, purchasing this building and like kind of having it that way, do it from the ground up. But down the road, once we have the cash flow and the assets and the track record and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you learn what you don't know. Yeah,
Sure.
I like it. I like that vision. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's we're passionate about it. I mean, here, just the house that we're living at, we have probably over a couple dozen different fruit trees and different varieties of fruits. Most people have never, you never even heard of a lot of stuff that you can't find in the grocery store. And it's
Nice.
all natural too. And
That is very, very cool. I can see the vision. I like it.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Yeah. It's
And
exciting.
thank you for, all the content, all the awesome stuff you put out, all the, it's great, staying up to
trying.
date with the market. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep up with how much content you put out. It's incredible. Inspiring.
Yeah, it would be tough to watch everything. I admit, yeah, it would be tough.
Yeah, we're putting it on 1.5 at
Yeah.
least. You're talking.
Smart,
Yeah.
very smart, very smart. All right, well, thank you, Camilla, for reaching out. Anthony Events, congratulations. I look forward to hearing more about it later. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye.